Hello everyone, DiscoWarlock here, bringing you another video in the Hitchhikers Guide to Albion Online. In my previous video about Hellgates, it was pointed out to me by a Reddit user that I missed some very important topics, and they are indeed very important topics, especially for newer players. These topics are IP caps, overcharging, and what gear to wear while doing PvP in these item cap zones. This is important for new players to understand because without it, you may be either risking too much money or beating your head up against a wall. I also won't be covering GVG item power caps as they are considered the cream of the crop endgame content and deserve their own video, along with the fact that Queen is about to change a lot of this. Note that raw item power levels of gear will be raised come the Queen update, so the gear you may find is working now might change in Queen. First up, we have IP caps. IP caps are something that SBI has added to certain areas of the game in order to keep higher tiered players from stomping the lower tiered players. The areas which are affected by these caps are blue and yellow zone Hellgates, arenas, and red and black zone Hellgates. As I said before, I won't be covering the GVG side of things. Note that the spreadsheet that I'm showing you here is dated as SBI has removed a lot of the IP caps from yellow zones and blue zones, but the IP caps remain for the Hellgates within these zones. So from the image here, we see that blue zones get an 80% reduction at 700 IP or more, meaning players who are looking to do 2v2 Hellgates here will be getting little to no benefit from wearing high tier gear, since every 100 IP over 700 will be reduced by 80%, leaving you with only a bonus 20 IP. For example, at 1196 IP, I was sitting at 799 IP in the Hellgate. The same 80% cap can be said for arenas with an IP cap of 800. Note, the yellow zone 5v5 Hellgates are capped at 700 IP and are full loot PvP, so no need to wear your juicy T8 gear in those. The rest of the IP caps are 50% and have a higher threshold of 1,000 for red zone and black zone Hellgates, and a link to this spreadsheet and the Albion wiki I've also provided for you down below if you'd like to study these caps further. Just keep in mind with the Queen update, the base gear IP will be raised accordingly, so it might change your strategy going forward. Next, we have overcharging. To overcharge gear, you need to use siphoned energy, which can be attained from raiding mages of an enemy's territory in red or black zones, capturing territories on reset days, and other GVG related activities. If your guild isn't large enough to do these activities, it can be purchased on the local market for a little bit of silver. Once you have your siphoned energy in your inventory, you can overcharge your gear for a bonus 100 IP for 30 minutes. This comes with the cost of a 15% chance your gear will break after the timer, or if you remove the gear manually. If you only want to overcharge certain pieces of gear, then feel free to modify that in your settings menu. Now for the general gear you should wear out into these IP capped areas, you want to kind of judge it based on your personal preference along with what you can afford. For example, blue zone Hellgates, any gear will suffice, but note that you will have to pay a repair bill if you get downed. This also applies to arena, so feel free to wear your T8 gear, however you will be paying a higher repair cost. For yellow zone Hellgates, try and wear around T4.1 to 5.1, and maybe pocket an overcharge if you really need the extra 20 IP that you'll gain. This way you can test comps out while being able to risk cheap gear and not break your bank. For red and black zone Hellgates, you'll want to run T6 gear or greater and pocket an overcharge for when things get hairy. This way you can beat out 4.1 overcharge players, provided you're of equal skill and spec, and not get dumpstered by the tier 7 players due to the gear difference. Note that these are just suggestions, so know your limits and play within it. Lastly, I want to quickly touch on the Queen IP update and what it means for players new and old. With raw IP being boosted, it means higher tier gear will have more of an advantage in open world PvP, along with instance PvP such as Hellgates and GVGs. This may affect your choice of gear when running content, so keep this in mind and try to familiarize yourself with the following information, a link that I provided down in the description below as well. So to quickly summarize the video, IP caps range from 80% in blue and yellow zone Hellgates and starting at 700 IP, and arenas at 800 IP. A soft 50% cap in red and black zone Hellgates start at 1000 IP. Overcharging increases your IP by 100, but has a chance to break your gear when it wears off after 30 minutes or if you remove the gear. The gear you should wear in these IP cap places shouldn't be too cheap nor too expensive, but it is also based on what you, the player, can afford and what you can wear. Always try for 4.1 to 5.1 in yellow zone Hellgates and tier 6 or greater in red and black zone Hellgates. Heck, even tier 6 and 6.1 in open world black zone is sufficient as well. Lastly, the Queen update might change all of this slightly. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If so, hit that like button and let me know down in the comments below what you thought or what gear you like to run in certain situations. And don't forget to subscribe to stay